This is Keep the Faith Ministry News. I'm Hal Mayer. The U.S. is being ravaged by a deadly strain of influenza with over 4,000 deaths a week at the time of this briefing. And the rate is still rising. It rivals levels normally seen when an altogether new virus emerges, decimating a vulnerable population that hasn't had a chance to develop any defenses. It's an unexpected phenomenon that public health experts are still trying to decode. The levels of influenza-like illnesses being reported now are as high as the peak of the swine flu epidemic in 2009 and exceeded the last severe seasonal flu outbreak in 2003 when a new strain started circulating, said Ann Schuchat, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's acting director. Swine flu, which swept the globe in 2009 and 2010, sickened 60.8 million Americans, hospitalized 274,000, and killed 12,000, according to the CDC data. Deaths from the current outbreak will likely far outstrip those of the 2009 to 2010 season. This is a difficult season, and we can't predict how much longer the severe season will last, she said. I wish there was better news, but everything we are looking at is bad news. The primary type of influenza this year hasn't changed enough from previous seasons to be considered a novel strain, Schuchat said. The agency's virologists are studying it to determine if there are any other explanations for why it's been so hard-hitting. We have a lot to learn still about the influenza, she said. It's a wake-up call about how severe influenza can be and why we can never let down our guard. Deaths from influenza and pneumonia, which are closely tied to each other in the winter months, are responsible for 1 of every 10 deaths during the first week of February, and that's likely to rise, Schuchat said. There were over 40,000 deaths in the U.S. during the third week of 2018, the most recent data available, and more than 4,000 were from pneumonia or influenza, according to the CDC data. The number for that week is expected to rise as more reports are sent to the agency. It gets worse. The death toll in future weeks is expected to grow even higher because flu activity is still rising, and the number of deaths follow the flu activity. Hospitalization rates are already approaching total numbers seen at the end of the flu season, which may not be for months. Unfortunately, more deaths are likely to happen, Schuchat said. Over the next few weeks, we do expect, and it would make sense, to see more pneumonia and influenza-related deaths. The people who are likely to die are already in the hospital. This year's flu could be more calamitous than outbreaks going back decades. The agency reported that there have been 114 deaths among children this season. Half had no other medical conditions that would place them in the high-risk category, and only about 20% were vaccinated. The agency only started counting deaths among children in 2004 after a particularly severe season. That year, the number of doctor's visits for the flu peaked at 7.6%, but recently it was already at 7.7%. While appearing to the children of men as the great physician who can heal all their maladies, Satan will bring disease and disaster until populous cities are reduced to ruin and desolation. He sweeps away the ripening harvest, and famine and distress follow. He imparts to the air a deadly taint, and thousands perish by the pestilence. These visitations are to become more and more frequent and disastrous. Destruction will be upon both man and beast. That's Great Controversy, page 589. This is Keep the Faith Ministry News. Thank you for watching.